Welcome to the weekend edition of the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson, and hello, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, on weekdays, it's all about the Fast 5, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. On the weekend, though, we still keep it to 5 minutes, of course, but we're going to pick out the biggest story of the week, the most remarkable business story, a sleeper story, one that's flying under the radar a little bit, and then our favourite business-related story. Let's jump straight into the biggest story of the week. What was it for you?
For me, it's Rio Tinto's bid for Arcadium Lithium, $9.9 billion. Haven't had a big takeover on the ASX all year. The board of Arcadium said, okay, now it goes to shareholders. Looks like it will get their approval. We've had some good deals. AirTrunk's $20 billion plus deal was big, but it wasn't listed, AirTrunk. There was also BHP's failed bid for Anglo American. We also had Altium sale to a Japanese group, which wasn't listed. It's a big deal for Rio Tinto. Still makes the vast majority of money from its iron ore mines. It needs to get into something else. It's a big tilt at lithium, particularly in Argentina, where Rio already has a mine. It's big for lithium. The price of lithium went from $20,000 US to $600,000 US, back to $75,000 US in about a 2-year period. Clearly, there's still demand there. Big for the other lithium stocks. Just a big takeover story, Michael.
Yeah, it certainly is. Sean, the biggest story I thought this week was the reality facing so many businesses in Australia. Company insolvencies hitting a record high, more than 6,600 firms failing in just 6 months, covering a whole range of sectors: construction, accommodation and food services, retail, trade, professional, scientific and technical services, manufacturing. Really, it is just everywhere. There's a whole lot of factors, kind of high interest rates, high inflation, the ATO chasing money, cyber attacks as well. And really, a lot of this is about small businesses. And it is going to continue because we had a report from Commonwealth Bank and Cosboa this week describing the colossal pressures that small businesses are under right now. Banjo Loans reported a 35% increase in the number of loan applications being rejected because these are businesses looking for finance when they are already in trouble. You put it all together, and it is a pretty big story of a lot of businesses in Australia in trouble at the moment.
Can I tell you my most remarkable story for the week?
Yeah.
Just how easy it is to invest in war. There are always movies that are about dodgy characters running guns. Well, nowadays you can just buy an ETF. There are now 3 on the ASX, 2 listed this week, Global X and Beta Shares. VanEck also got one. What they do is buy up to 60 companies which derive at least half their revenues from the development and manufacture of military and defence equipment: Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, General Dynamics. An ETF is definitely a way of spreading your risk. You can now jump in, quite remarkably, and buy these products which benefit from war. No value judgment, but it's just a little bit icky.
Yeah. The other remarkable story I thought this week was the way that consumer sentiment is improving. People are expecting interest rates to come back down soon, despite the fact that the RBA has not actually said that. Nothing in what the RBA has said suggests that that's the case. The Westpac Melbourne Institute Consumer Sentiment Index showed a solid 6% lift in confidence in the economy. It is the best reading in ages. Everyone's still pretty negative overall, but consumers are getting excited about kind of inflation dropping and how resilient the labour market is and a whole bunch of different things. Business confidence is up too, business conditions as well. I just think it is remarkable that there is this growing optimism with both consumers and business, despite really the ongoing pessimism of the Reserve Bank that rates could still go either way.
Yeah, remarkable, but positive, Michael.
Yeah, positively remarkable, Sean. Sleeper story. What have you found?
Look, I don't know whether it's a sleeper story, but I love the story this week about the value of residential real estate in Australia pushing beyond $11 trillion for the first time. That's up almost $1 trillion over the last year. Would have been more, except for the fact that home values over the September quarter grew just 1% across the nation. Basically, in the 12 months to September, they're up about 6.7%. The previous 12 months, they're up closer to 10%. Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth dwelling values are currently at record high. But the market's cooling, takes longer to sell a home, there's discounting going on. There's also more listings compared to the historical average across the country. The super sector is heading towards $4 trillion, so the value of dwellings across the country is almost 3 times that of super. Quite incredible.
It certainly is. Last one, favourite story. Sean, can I nominate one for this?
Go for it.
So it's about our love affair with smartphones. I shouldn't have left such a large pause between love affair and with smartphones there, Sean.
True.
But it is about smartphones. Nearly 4 million phones were sold in the first half of 2024, up 8% from a year ago. And smartphone analyst Telsight expects that number to reach 8.7 million units for the full year, which is just extraordinary. 26 million people in this country. It suggests that 1 in 3 people will get a new phone this year. Which I almost find that hard to believe if they weren't statistics and they were believable. A little bit of history for you, Sean, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. But in 2022, the number of active mobile phones in use worldwide passed the number of people on the planet. So that means there were more phones in use than there were people on the planet. Just amazing. But wait for this. The first mobile phone call ever made was just over 50 years ago in 1973. And I know we are going way, way, way back here, but it was made by Motorola engineer Martin Cooper from a street in New York. And you know who he called? I love this because it could have been a really momentous occasion. It was like, it's the equivalent of landing on the moon, right? For I suppose for mobile phone technology. He could have called the president. He could have called his colleagues. He could have called his wife, his parents, his kids, anyone. He didn't. In what is possibly one of the most petty workplace acts I have ever heard, he called his chief rival, Joel Engel at Bell Labs, the person who was racing in order to develop the first mobile phone. And he said, Joel, this is Marty. I'm calling you from a cell phone, a real handheld portable cell phone. It is the ultimate savage victory. He rubbed that in well and truly. I just love that whole story.
That is brilliant.
Indeed. There we go. 5 minutes and pretty much everything you need to know in the world of business. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
We'll be back on Monday morning with the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Don't forget to hit follow and join us online on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and this is the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed.